just boarding their airplane in Houston. You get this up from Tom Jenkins.
Yes, thank you.
And did you get Kathy's notes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I printed out, so that's the model one, correct? Yes.
Yeah. And did you get
The fire or the
Kathy, the civil service notes from the officers?
no.
Okay. We won't talk about this one today. This will be Monday.
And once I have that, you can say yes.
Then you got the email from Carrie that has her
Yes.
edits that she's done so far.
Yes, and I went through and I looked through all those.
I was, yeah. After a while, but I was.
I'm so happy you went through all the grammar errors. They were driving me nuts.
Me too. There's a lot of things. I'm like, some of it I highlighted. Like, number one, I don't know how to reword this because I don't know what it's trying to say. Number two, I don't even think it belongs in this section. So.
Well, and I did note that some of their references back into the document are referencing to air. There's no, 1802.4.
Or it's just like the underline where they're supposed to put like an address. Yeah.
So they're working on another update because their commission also. But I think they were just trying to get something as well to like get
Nice.
rules done.
No, at least it's more updated than these ones. It was nice to have that outline to go off of.
I didn't realize Arlene had been the secretary. That was weird. That was kind of nice. Because I remember Iola and I remember Don Nichols. But I didn't know Arlene was the secretary. Really? Yeah. Yeah, right.
I remember Iola and I mean like the most previous, and then it went to Diane.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it did. Right. And then at that time we had Gary Crabb, Don Nichols, and Bob Lincoln.
Yeah, I remember Bob. Yeah.
I think they were the last mission we had.
Graham was in the civil service a little bit before he went to the council, and then the civil service collapsed basically, and Graham went on to council instead. So.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I've got 9 o'clock, so we'll call the special meeting to order. And today we're going to, and we have a quorum. There's 2 commissioners here and the 3rd commissioner is in the air. So today we're going to be going through the proposed edits to the rules so that we'll have a document to present to the regular meeting for public input and for final adoption. So with that, I would like to move forward with the discussion about edits, and just for ease of discussion, we'll just be in a discussion format. So we could just talk about proposed edits and notes that we've made. That sound okay for you?
Sounds great.
All right. Okay, so I did read through the current 1996 version of the city's rules, and I thought, let's just abandon those. Yes. So I pushed those off to the side. Great. I did look through the MRSC model rules and thought that they were much more than we needed. There are 150 some odd pages. We don't need the history. We don't need all the case laws. We don't need how the case laws apply to each of the subsections. So I abandoned that. And I started working on the platform of the City of Airway Heights civil service rules and regulations, and thought we could work from that. And I think that is the edits that Carrie has been doing, is working off that platform. So if we're all in agreement there, let's begin with the City of Airway Heights civil service rules. Make our notes. Carrie, how would this work best for you?
However, I want to go section by section, if you wanna just tell me what you want to do, and I'll try to work on the actual document while you're.
Okay. so
Um,
what-
I did have a question. All the highlights in here, are those the things that you changed?
No, so the
Okay.
highlights are things that need to be changed, updated, I have questions on.
Okay.
I'd like some direction from you guys. on
Okay.
What we want.
That's what I was wondering.
Some of it is legal questions that I have for the attorney, like,
Okay.
we really have to do this,
Gotcha.
Okay, so I will take the notes submitted from Commissioner Munoz and let's work on from the document that Carrie has already been editing, that she's printed out for us. Because that'll have the notes that she already has, and then
Yep.
we can compare our notes. So, all right, section 1. I didn't really have any issues with section 1.
No.
And doesn't appear. She has the notes. Does that need to add anyone besides commissioned personnel like police support specialists? Can we add that? Are there police support specialists that are civil service?
Yesterday. And as the support specialists, when they move from dispatch into police support, their CBA still talks about civil service. That we would have to put them into civil service right now because their contract says that. He does believe we could exempt them if that's something that we wanted to do future, but he would need to renegotiate that portion of the contract.
No, I have no objection to adding them in to civil service. Danielle, do you?
No, but do they even use police support specialists? Like, what would that be considered?
Yeah, so we would just have to put the police, they're part of the police department. and
Uh-huh.
So we would just put them in, make them, we would have to kind of modify things in areas that would fit more appropriate from them. Because I don't know, when they were dispatchers, they still had to do like the psych and all of that stuff. I
Right.
don't know if we're going to hire a police support specialist if.
So maybe we need to clarify on that, if they still use
Yeah.
those,
Like, you still have them, so I just don't know, how
the hiring processes.
this work. It's not. They're not in police guilds, yeah,
Mm,
and they're not in the fighter idea that they are clerical. Now, I don't know police wise, but that means since they are first evidence, so forth, if that makes that
Mm.
something civil service, that I kind of see them more as administrative staff. Very much like my understanding is the police chief does not go through civil service because it's an administrative position. He's not part of the guild. Serves at the will of the mayor. These two people don't serve at the will of the mayor. They're in a labor group, but I'm not administrative, so that job. Yeah. So there is some question, and I did have that discussion with Mike yesterday.
Mm.
But he felt like we needed to put them in at this point until their contract says something different.
That's 1-3. These rules govern the continuing administration.
And did he think so? Working with the evidence and with these public records. He simply said because their contract designates civil service that they have to be. Has nothing to do with job duties. Okay. With, gotcha.
So in order to encompass them, because the only employees at the police department are either officers or these specialists. The sentence then would read, these rules apply to full-time police officers, comma, any full-time police department employee, comma, and firefighters. Because we don't have to do that with there's no equivalent in the fire department for police specialists, so. Yeah.
or we can just put police support specialists in
Yeah. Full-time police officers, police support specialists,
there.
and firefighters. Yeah. Because part-time are exempted.
Yes.
Anything else for section 1?
No.
Okay, so moving on to section 2. Commission meetings quorum. Members of the commission shall constitute quorum. No action of the commission shall be effective unless 2 members concur therein. Regular sermon. Notice, meeting, and decision. Yeah, that's the airtight stuff. That's the Cheney stuff. Yep.
So what I have in section that Kathy talked about 2.11 public records. So I switched that to say, that copies will be made available pursuant to the city's public records policy, which lists the fees and stuff in it. My question in that section is, it talks about commission staff, being the ones to release public records and all of that kind of stuff. And for me, that would be okay because I'm trained to do all of that stuff, but if I'm never not in the civil service role and you have somebody else in that role that is not trained in public records, I don't think it's appropriate to have a like even the secretary do that. I think it's who is your public records officer.
So add that into 2.11.
Instead of saying, it will be inspected during posted office hours in a space provided by commission staff. And it's to say city clerk.
Okay.
Okay.
Could we say city clerk or commission staffs? So if you, like, if HR is the secretary?
Yeah.
Just so they have both.
Under the chair, vice chair. 2.03, it suggests that we have a vote every year for chair, vice chair. Do we want to do every 2 years? Because that would be a role
Every time.
every time. So basically, that way we're just doing it anytime we get a new commissioner.
That, I think, makes sense to me.
2.03.
Oh, here it is. Okay, so do that to 2 years?
Well, that's my suggestion, but this says we do it every year. I mean, it's really, how hard is it to vote?
Yeah, I
To
mean,
take
it might be
3
nice to keep it every year in case some things change in the commission.
Okay.
Just so you have the option available, because it is a quick vote, so it's.
Yeah, it's just, it should be pretty simple. Okay,
0.09, where it says the office hours of the commission secretary are posted at City Hall.
Mm-hmm,
I don't have anywhere here to post the hours. I would like to post them on the website.
okay,
And then if someone calls and asks, or if someone stops in, we can tell them what the hours are. They're here. I just don't have, we don't have like a bulletin board. Airway Heights has a area where they actually post.
we used to have one right outside the, yeah.
I remember posting to that bulletin board, but since we don't have that, I was just wondering if it would be appropriate to post it to the website, which is where most people are gonna. I mean,
Yeah, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that.
I
Verb-
don't either.
Verbiage, however, you need to in order to get it so that
As long
in
as-
accordance with city operating schedule. I mean,
And it's easily
and
accessible that way
you work
too.
and that kind of stuff. When city hall is open, the commission would be available.
I'll just say, post it on the website. I can have Miley add that to the civil service page. You know, secretary. information. So.
Okay.
That way, if my office hours ever change, then.
Then 211, 25. Section 205, Robert's Rules of Order, final authority on all questions, procedure, parliamentary, And then we get to civil rules for Superior Court. Basically, I would just have a question. Is there some way to get some training for that?
question for our city attorney. So I have no idea what those.
Because if we have to hold a hearing and we have to use quasi judicial rules, I want to make sure that we're following quasi judicial rules.
Okay. That would be nice.
Okay, so then Kathy's to 303. I have nothing until we get to. I did like the verbiage out of the old rules with regard to secretary chief exam.
On the front part. But, number 2. She has a suggestion.
Generic enough that the rules do not have to change every time a city changes job description, job title.
So the city of Pasco, they put it, I should have brought it, their rules say, actually, their rules say, the executive department, the city manager or designee shall perform the duties and serve as the Civil Service Commission Secretary and Examiner. So you could do something similar and just say, you know, the HR department.
So for that one, I think we should leave it as a competitive examination, just so it's up to the civil service. I think it's nice to have HR as it, but in the future, if they ever want to do someone that's not HR.
That happens, then you actually have, there's like a whole.
That opens a whole new testing. So anybody say at the UB or the police department, fire department, any of the secretarial staff or anybody that wanted to apply, we'd have to sort through all their applications and then hold a test and then do oral reports for that position. But that's already kind of occurred anyway when the person takes the HR position. The city has already made that decision.
I just feel like it shouldn't be tied to one position. I feel like it should be an open position that someone else could apply for. Just for future, to keep it fair, and I know that's HR's position, but.
No. I think, when it was changed way back when, the thought was that the person in your HR position is educated in the correct way to hold interviews, conduct interviews, what you can and can't do. And if you get other staff or even a citizen, because citizens could also apply for this, you don't necessarily have the education or training there. And so you may not have the knowledge in some areas that is important.
Yeah, what questions you can ask, what questions you can ask a police applicant as a follow-up about.
Right.
But HR would know all that already.
Yeah, I kind of like how it's tailored to, it's up to the commission to determine that role, and it doesn't have to be applied to one specific position. And it kind of leaves it open for interpretation.
Keep it.
Yeah, let's leave that for the regular meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we're into 4 now, which is definitions. We didn't have any problems with any of the definitions. Except the appointing authority, which Kathy pointed out to. Oh, go ahead. 7.
There's a highlighted sentence that says, commission may overrule notice in writing to applicants. And if I read that the commission may overrule the notice in writing to applicants, that still doesn't apply to that section. So I'm not exactly sure if that just means.
Oh, you're right. Over the rule. Yeah, I think delete that.
Because
I don't think it's supposed to be there.
Yeah, I don't think.
in the next section, it talks about like the commission can modify the secretary's decision at any point in time.
Yeah, so let's just eliminate that sentence. Yeah, I'm good with that.
After this meeting,
Yes.
will you be able to, I know we're probably not gonna make too many updates, but will you send the new, like, all the
Absolutely. Yeah.
edited?
Yeah, we'll get that.
Thank you.
Okay, on board.
On 4. You've already made an edit to 404 to make the appointing authority to the mayor.
That creates an issue. Well, so what that said previously in Airway Heights is that, you know, the police chief hires for police, the fire chief hires for fire,
Mhm.
the city manager hires for the secretary and all the rest of the stuff. Obviously, here the mayor hires, fires, does everything, right? But throughout this document, it talks about appointing authority in sections where we will send the appointing authority copies of the certified list. Well, you're not gonna send that to the mayor. You wanna
Right.
send that to the chiefs. So I didn't know if in some of those sections, it would be appropriate to put like the department head.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, so where it's relevant throughout the document
Mhm.
where you would send it, yeah, send it to the department head. Do we need then to add a definition of
Department head?
department head? We've got department and then it goes from demotion, department, then discharge. So we need to,
Well, in department such as the department head. But maybe we should have our own,
any department of the cities subject to civil service established by ordinance. Legal head of any such department is department. Yeah, so the department is department head. Yeah, you're right.
or should we add it like a separate one? Or just
It's
leave it?
covered there.
Okay,
So yeah, so I'll try to go through and try to find all those authorities. There are times when things would be sent to the mayor, but,
so you'll just add wherever it says appointing attorney or department head. We don't need to add department head to 4.04. Okay.
Okay, Kathy has notes on 424. Anyone?
what she talks about is removing the chiefs from civil service. That has already been accomplished through ordinance of the city council. Neither of the police chiefs are under civil service.
Okay.
So that's it. The highlight there is for me is I need to go through and verify the current position titles that we have and then fill them in. Like, we don't have battalion chiefs in fire right now. But I didn't necessarily want to take that out because I believe it's still in their CBA. So I didn't have time to go through and look at the union contracts to look there and see what's in there.
Yeah, because-
It has deputy chiefs in here. Our fire deputy chiefs are not part of the IAFF. They are exempt employees, so I don't know if you would want to exempt them for civil service or.
It's been my experience that once you become exempt, because when I promoted from sergeant to lieutenant, I became exempt. And so I think anybody who is exempt as in the payroll system kind of thing is not under civil service and is not bound by any guild or bargaining agreement. They are. So when I became a lieutenant, I left the police department bargaining unit and joined the middle management unit for the city, because now I'm middle manager, and that's how I got my contract. So I think that that's kind of what we need to do here, is the same kind of thing. We need to remove anybody who is basically brass out. So and I don't understand fire well enough to know where brass begins and where the worker bee positions were. Sergeant was a worker bee.
Your brat there, your deputy chiefs, and then you have your captains, lieutenants, and then firefighters.
So is captain in the like command staff? Are they exempt, or are they just like, I'm a captain because I lead the truck? Okay.
I mean, they have, yeah. Because the captain is over a shift. They have 3 shifts, so there's like 3 captains that have shifts, and then they have the employees under them. So they're kind of the.
So they're kind of the sergeant.
Sergeants.
And then their lieutenant would be kind of like a corporal,
Yeah,
like the second command for the shift.
yes, yeah, and then your deputy chiefs are your Correct.
So now where does battalion chief? So you have a chief, deputy chief, battalion chief. Where does that battalion chief fit?
Did away with battalion. And they became the captain.
Okay, that clarifies everything for me. So, all right. So, because like in the police department, we had the chief, we had deputy chief, and then we had captain.
Yeah.
And then lieutenant.
Now that's different.
Right.
Your lieutenant is still part of the guild. Not an exempt employee.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you would want to remove the fire deputies from.
Is that in their contract though?
They're not in the,
Okay,
they're exempt employees, they are.
okay.
So we need to remove battalion chief and deputy chief from the fire side.
And then can we verify that with fire before removing them? Like
Verify what?
that they are exempt and just to make sure,
They're exempt.
well, and just to make sure that like we're not contradicting anything in their contract.
Yeah,
because-
they are not, they don't have a contract. They are non-representative. Employees, just like your residents are not represented.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're not
They're not
contradicting
really
their,
They are
Agreement.
just. Deputy chief, yeah.
Okay, so because everybody in the police department is under the guild and is represented, we need to modify our rules to exempt them from civil service, which then opens the contract for renegotiation under change of working conditions, right? If we, okay, so if we remove lieutenant, captain, chief from,
So, well, the acting chief currently, they did ever.
if he's still acting,
Is he still the lieutenant?
right?
Right now, I believe the only thing that's not in the bill, the only position, not talking about the specialist here, is the real police chief.
Mhm.
And so everyone else currently is to the guild. So you're saying that if you want to remove people from.
If we want to,
civil service,
yeah.
then yeah, I think that would, because that is identified in their contract. So I think that would have to come up for a contract renegotiation.
because it's in their contract that under civil service? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Police lieutenant.
So you want to take out lieutenant and the battalion chief and deputy chief.
They don't have any, yeah, chief is already out.
Yeah.
So if they,
It's out.
and they don't currently have a deputy chief.
Not them, but the fire. does.
Fire
So
department,
I'm gonna
yeah.
take deputy chief out, and those people truly are non-exempt. They're exempt employees. They are not represented.
So,
Okay.
and we can eliminate battalion chief because they don't have any. Deputy chief. And if they were to ever come back and say, hey, we need a battalion chief, then we have to look at our rules and say, yeah, it doesn't apply, and yeah. Full-time police officer, lieutenant, they have no captains, they have no commander. He is so.
So
Well, really for civil service, to keep a lieutenant under civil service, that's really not a problem. I don't think, because if as a lieutenant is appointed by the chief into the command staff, if he were to get set back and the new chief come in, say, well, I don't want you to be a lieutenant anymore, and he just reverts back to his lowest or his next highest rank that he held before he was appointed to lieutenant. That could be civil service issue. He could come and contest that. I could see that. So we can keep lieutenant. Yeah, we can keep lieutenant in.
Sorry, just to clarify, we're
Yes.
battalion chief is crossed off, right?
Yeah.
And what was the other one? Deputy?
Deputy chief.
Okay. Thank you.
I think, that might take I have to check with the attorney, that might take, action of the city council to exempt those positions from, from civil service.
What, the battalion chief and deputy chief?
Yes. Battalion chief we don't have, so it doesn't matter, we would take that out because we don't have that. But the deputy chiefs, I think, would take an ordinance of council.
And we have deputy chiefs now for the fire.
We do. Fire. And they have not been under civil, I mean, like they're exempt employees already. So I don't know that it would necessarily be an issue.
So if we remove it here, is there anything we would need to do to go before council? Do we need to bring that motion to council?
And so then he can prepare an ordinance to have that.
So if there's something we need to do, that's enough.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. You know how to set filter.
Oh, wow.
Is Mike not? You didn't answer. Okay. Like, yesterday.
424 needs the chiefs removed. Yeah, we just did that and changed to match with the positions that we have done. 427 examination bulletin. She's got the note. And other places it refers to the commission's office. Should we change that to either the mayor's office or the city clerk's office? And you've even got it highlighted here.
Like, we don't obviously have a commission's office. We have my office. We have.
Could we say like the commission website? Would that
Um,
be an option? Or does it have to be like in person? Physical.
Examination note to contain basic information about the class positions.
If we're gonna have.
Other
examination announcement to
We just
TVs,
posted to
um,
the. Let's just put it in that when you put out a notice, when you publish a notice for employment, where do you publish that? Because that's really what this is talking about here.
That's
Just the website. So just say, and other pertinent information will be posted to the city's website. And you can even say in accordance with other job positions or something like that.
And do they do it in their city hall? Cause they have that big bulletin where they can do that? Okay, that makes sense.
They also take things to their door.
Oh.
Weird.
I think the website's more accessible anyways.
But
Hey, back in the day, we did that too, so.
then we still take things to the door when we have to, but, it's weird to put like jobs.
That's true.
I don't know that someone would come to your door to look at the jobs.
Right.
They're gonna
They're-
check your website.
Mm-hmm.
I'll notice exam score. So she's got a note here on 427.
Like an examination for 4.27. I made it a 4.28 and then went down because I felt like that was separate than an examination bulletin.
Okay.
Oh, I
And
see.
because it was an F and it was in line with all the other stuff, it felt like it was supposed to be an actual its own thing. So I made it its own thing.
I
Okay,
agree.
so you address that.
Error.
Okay. All right. Anything else in 4 that any of us had?
4.41 presentation, so final plan that to be valid, the request must approve written approval of the appointing authority or the civil service. I feel like that, I don't know where that goes, but if someone's resigning, I don't feel like the civil service has to be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna allow you to resign, like, you guys need to be notified, but
Not approval
yeah,
of resignation.
like that, I don't know. And I don't even know what that sentence says, so.
Written request by an employee for separation from a class or from city services.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
just notification rather than approval.
And that's, you know, that's-
Notification
Yeah,
rather than
yeah,
approval.
notification.
That's listed later in under, you know, things that the commission will be notified of any changes of.
Appointment, yeah, so I think we can eliminate that last sentence there totally. Because we're still in definitions, so we will get into how the definitions function when we get into the body of it, but so definitions, yeah, just eliminate that last sentence, it doesn't change the meaning. Okay, so now we're into 5. I have no notes for 5. Kathy's got a 5. I think the copy of rules should be changed to the city clerk. Yeah, okay, I'm good with that. All right. Anything for you from 5?
No, not in 5.
She has 507 to CMC. Okay. Okay, into 6. 60702 needs to change from city manager to city administrator. Okay.
Yeah, and section 7, I just highlighted up there because none of this is gonna, if we're using PST, this whole section needs to. It's like
Okay.
part of it too, so.
So I'm thinking, having read through the stuff that was sent in to us, the subscription testing service, how it works, I think we could just move this in to replace 7. I mean, this is the stuff that was sent on the
From fire.
civil service rule regarding subscription testing services. And just take that and
Move it over.
move it over and replace section 7 with this.
Mhm. I would agree.
There are things in section 7, number 7, that you probably want to keep and not take out, but I don't know.
So where are you thinking? 70906. Oh, she's got notice for Polly. So fails to appear for fingerprinting, fails to take a drug test for an entry level position, or other investigation is required.
Oh, just the continuous testing, which isn't a separate section, all there is a section on continuous testing. I can't remember what it was. It's 8.07 is talks about continuous testing.
Mhm.
So that would be a good place for the information that came from PS regarding continuous testing.
So that is the additional testing.
Or 1 and 2 from the model rule.
Oh, yeah, so just take page 2 of that document that you sent us and put that in for 807, continuous testing.
Continuous testing. But one of that document also was about continuous testing.
Mhm.
That whole thing that the consent was all about continuous testing, which is great. But section 7 is all about, like, it totally needs reworded or redone or something.
Well, back in the day when I wanted to be a sergeant, I had to complete a new application, submit that to the city,
Take the testing.
pay the testing fee, then they had the test,
Do the test.
and then we did it, and then we did an oral board. And then from that, a list of rule 3 went up to the chief, and the chief selected.
That is happening right now. The way PST is working is people just apply if we have a position open at any point in time. If we have a continuous posting, they can apply and take a test at any point in time. There is no come pay your fee, we're gonna do this, do the oral boards. That is not.
That's handled external to us.
Not the oral boards.
The oral boards,
the
yeah, but-
testing
but-
piece of it.
But let's say the fire chief wants to hire somebody. He calls down and says, hey, we want to hire somebody. You then call PST and say, send me the current list.
No, so fire does it different than police does. Fire uses PST exactly as this says. They wanna hire some firefighters, they create a flyer, they send it down to me and we're like, we wanna open it on this date, we wanna close it on this date. Submit it to PST, PST puts it up, people apply during that period, we have all of their stuff. We look at that stuff, we take them, we do the physical agility for testing, PST does physicals for entry level for police. Fire does their own. We go out to District 3 one day, we do all of the physical agility. If they pass the physical agility, we move them on to the oral courts, which are the same day, just in the afternoon. Go up to the fire department, we have the panel consisting of all the people there, we do that. Come up with our list, certify the list, send that to the chief, and then the chief does the chief's interview. So they use it completely differently than police does.
And the police are using a continuous testing. You can apply anytime you want.
Yeah, they just have it on there. That is what initially what the labor attorney that we're working with said, you cannot do that, you cannot have a continuous testing. A lot of places do have a continuous testing because there's such a demand. I just don't know how that works in this, like you guys need to figure out this whole
Seven.
section, like how that would work for us.
See, yeah, that continuous testing is just totally foreign. I'm used to opens on February 1st, closes on February 28th. Fill out your application, pay your testing fee, and then
Yeah. Discuss this in some meetings with labor attorney. That's how it's supposed to be.
That's her preference.
It is supposed to open, it's supposed to close. I think the continuous testing came, to be fair, to the police department is when they were struggling to get anybody to apply. And so they were trying to they had these unfilled positions and they were just, oh my gosh. So they just contacted them and had this open-ended job posting, which I think now we understand probably isn't accurate or correct. And I think now they're also filled. I mean, I think they have people that are leaving, we have this set number of positions in the police department. And I think they have people that that they're very interested in looking at, because then they go in and look at them and then they decide where that comes to this body to decide who actually should be forwarded to be looked at. I think that's kind of where that.
Yeah, like, so fire does it, and they take every applicant that applies. If we have 100 people that apply during the opening window, we look at every person. We put them in a spreadsheet and score them according to, do they have all of the basic requirements? You know, IFSAC, firefighter 1, academy, all the things. And then we rank them that way, after they've done their testing stuff. With police, I don't ever see, I mean, I have the ability to go in and look, but I don't ever know what they're doing. Like, I have no idea until they send me something that says we want to hire this person, then I'm like, okay, but like, I don't know, how, you don't have a certified list, you don't have the top 3, you don't have, I don't know how they were scored. I don't know how they were scored. Did you add their veterans preference, which turns out they weren't adding that, so we have, like, and that's the thing that we do in fire. Once we get them all done, we have everybody scored, we rank them according to score, then we go in and add their veterans preference points, and come up with their final score, and that's how they're ranked. And so those top 3 or 5, we have a rule of 5, which you guys can change. So those
I'm
top
fine with
5,
rule of 5.
yeah, the
Mhm.
5 would then go to
The chief's
the
interviews.
chief, and then the chief would interview those, and then the chief gets to choose whoever he wants out of those 5 candidates.
Yeah, because when I was in the upper echelons of the department, we called for rule of 5, but we got 5 names. We didn't get scores. We got 5 names.
Exactly, and the chief
Yeah.
isn't necessarily gonna get the scores either. He's gonna get, well, he can, because your certification
yeah.
list is gonna have your scores, but it's gonna have your name and your score, but you don't have to have higher number 1, like the chief gets that choice. I will tell you that our labor attorney said that the rule of 5 is too broad and she recommends 3. I don't know. Questions for Mr. Secretary? So I don't. I'm fine with 5, but Kim was very like that it needs to be 3, so I don't know if it's 3 or 5, so.
I'm fine with 5. Keep it open.
And the
Option.
attorney saying that 5 is too broad.
She said that 5 is too broad, yeah, that's what she said, she said 5 is not a sustainable in a court thing, because I don't. Kim said that 5 is.
Rule 3, rule
Yeah.
5.
5, said 5 is too many, that we should dial it back. But I don't know the reasoning, like I don't have.
I don't think that was a legal requirement, maybe so much as
She said that there were some court cases and stuff that have challenged it.
that I was too many.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of places have a rule of 5, so I don't.
I'll call her today.
Okay, the other question is that they have determined that they want to remove the deputy fire chiefs from civil service. I think that requires an ordinance or some action from the city council.
Yeah, it might require negotiation of the CBA.
They're not in the CBA.
Wait, sorry, the fire chief?
Deputy fire chiefs.
Oh, they're not.
non-exempt, Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and they're already non-exempt, non-represented. But I think because we had to take, I think there was a rule that it has to be done by ordinance.
Those were created as brand new. So. I mean, just because one was promoted from the Guild and from civil service, and one was a brand new hire. So. Why would that automatically retain that civil service designation for brand new positions?
It wouldn't, like, they're not, in my mind, they've never been part of civil service because they're exempt employees, they're not represented, they have. But I think to make it official that we have to, like we did with the fire and the
But
police chief.
I know that's the way it is under the east part of the RC.
Yeah, and I think fire is the same.
Probably the same.
So I think we need an ordinance that would,
There's probably a limit on the number of accepted
Yes.
positions too, depending
Yes.
on the size of the. department.
yes,
So
that is our,
how many are accepted now on the site of fire chief?
nobody.
Okay, gotta figure out procedure.
So it brings us back to our original question with regard to continuous testing, and I am not in favor of continuing testing. I like the posted, open date, close date, run the test, begin the process, so you have a list.
Okay.
So they can't just call and say, give me 5 names.
From the chief examiner standpoint, that's gonna be a lot easier to do than a continuous testing. Where you would have to go in and modify your eligibility list every time someone applies, basically.
How you feel?
I think I'd need to understand the continuous testing a little bit more before. Because since they're the ones that use it, what do they see as the pros and the cons of continuous testing?
I can see the pros from the police department's perspective is Bill retires, moves on, goes to a
Mhm.
different department, whatever, leaves. Now we have a vacancy.
Mhm.
They just call and say, yeah, send me the next 5 names on the list, and boom, they have it.
Rather than prior they hire within the department? Or,
So let's say you have an officer who resigns, retires, moves on. They don't post, they have a job opening.
Mhm.
They just call us to send me 5 names because
So it should be posted though.
it should be, well, it should. There should be an open and a close date, which then generates the test, which then generates the list, which then generates the pool from which you hire.
Okay.
Now they just pick up the phone and say, send me 5 names. And they,
So if in fact. I'm assuming these people that go to PST, they pay probably 1 fee. Or a fee for multiple, and they can apply for various jurisdictions, so let's say within. Somebody that's locally here, they can apply for Cheney in the city, or Fairway Heights of the city, and Spokane County, I mean, all of the various places. And so then they're sitting there and then they're you know, they're plugged in, they probably separate that by entity, I'm imagining PST.
So Airway Heights doesn't use it for entry level.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that they, so here we go, boom, 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 boom. So, but my question would be, I mean, as people move and shake and move around, that's gonna
Change your list.
yeah, and if somebody really wants to work in Cheney, and they're like, you know, I really want to work with those folks, and they're a great officer, it's a great program. I mean, is that test always the same? Could they retake it every so often and do better on it? I guess my question, I don't know about police testing. Whole novice of this, but it just makes sense that if you had a beginning and an end point, okay, there's the job I really want. I want to go and I want to I took this test 3 months ago for over here and I probably could have done better. I'm gonna do better this time. And I'm
Well,
gonna take-
so PSC, you can retest every 6 months. And so when I applied for Cheney the first time, I didn't get hired. I know, I was already working for the city, but I was too young to be a policeman, but I applied, didn't get hired. And then, the next test came up. I tested again, but they didn't have an opening. So I waited on the list for 6 months. And then Brendan Kieran retired. Well, he left for Tukwila. And the chief then, Jerry, hired me then because I was already on the list because the list was active.
Yeah.
In continuous testing, the list always changes.
Like, great, I heard so-and-so's gonna retire. I know I'm probably gonna get at least an interview out there. That's awesome. But with the list continually changing, you gotta know when to close.
You don't know where you are on the list.
Is that fair? to the people that are trying to apply?
See, that's why I don't like continuous testing. I like and then the list stays active for a year. So yeah,
You know, create your eligibility list.
they could run a list every year.
And that list is decertified basically when all the people are off of it or it expires.
Yeah, and then they could run another test. So they could accomplish the same thing, but they have to post and close, run the test, generate a list, and then the list just sits there inactive for a year. And then they would call you and say, send me the next 5 names on the list. Well, but you're working on an active list. So yeah.
Once it's done, it's impossible to be added to the list because it's still a certified list for the period of time. So they
Yep.
have to wait until
So-
that is certified until they're ready to
So
apply.
let's say we stay with rule of 5 and we call down to the police department, call down to the Carrie and say, okay, send me the next 5 names. She goes, there's 2 names on the list. Well, the list is no longer valid
Right.
because we can't meet 5. So we repost, it opens back up to the community. We decertify the existing list. We repost because the list is no longer viable.
You could have 25 people on the list. If you have 50 people apply and 25 of them pass and do all the stuff, you could have 25.
So
We're not-
although
yeah.
only the top 5 go, then the next 5 come up and then the next 5 come up.
Well, no.
No.
So let's say you're hiring one position and we call for 5 names. And they move the 5 names up. We take one and then one moves up. But let's say at some point in time, that top guy, let's say he was number 6 on the list. Let's say he didn't have the high enough score to even make the top 5. So that decertifies the list. So he only we need 85%. Yeah. Yeah. So let's say you need 85% to get into the top 5. And the guy who's got a 70 score, you decertify the list and you begin again. And that gives everybody an opportunity to retest and do better and run it that way. So I'm not in favor of continuous testing.
Yeah, I think we should wait just because I kind of do understand. I prefer not continuous testing, but then I do understand it when they do have the open spots and they need to hire and fill those
Yeah.
spots, it is kind of nice to have that
And they
continuous.
still, what I'm saying is they could still have that already, as long as
Right.
they're.
As long as the list is still valid,
Yeah,
as long as they still have an active list.
and create that list so that when someone does quit and we have that job, we can just hire off.
So here's how I envision it is every April they run a test.
Mhm.
Because you don't want it too hot, you don't want it rainy, you don't want it, and that way, because they're gonna do physical agility. And because you'll have a lot of people who apply, the first thing you do is run a physical agility. They don't pass physical agility, you don't even give them written test. And so now you generate your list, and that list will stay April to April. And now anybody who leaves during that period of time, they just call down and say, hey, we need the next names off the list because we got to hire,
Mhm.
and they'll hire somebody in November.
Comes out before not enough people on the list, then we do another recruitment. If, say, in September, you don't have enough people on the list, or, we have another opening, we can do it then.
Yeah, and then we just run another test.
Okay.
And since they have a company that they're doing, they just call PSC and say, hey, we need another test. Here's our recruitment, make it go. And so they basically make the police department mirror the fire department.
I mean, that would be easier for rules as well, so we don't have
Yeah.
two separate sections.
Right.
Yeah, maybe we add that to Monday. And because it is confusing.
Talks about do it for PST, but I don't know if she's in favor of it or just wanted that because that's what they're.
Well, I do like the document that you sent us about PST stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
I still think we can work from that. I don't remember where I put it. Oh, I messed with it. But yeah, there it is. I think we just do away with the continuous testing portion. And we do a job post and close, open, close, run the test whenever we need to generate a list.
There were no qualified applicants, someone leaves the police department. And there aren't enough qualified applicants, you do a job, then so it goes September to September, at that point, is it
Yep.
12 months? past
Yeah, as soon as it's 12
So that
months.
month could be broken, might start in April, but it could be broken.
Because once you run a test, as long as there are enough names on the list that are viable, then the list stays active for 1 year from the date of the test. And so you have a constant list for 1 year period. And so it really doesn't impact the police department's ability to call down for a list. Hey, we're going to hire. And Gary says, or they hire somebody off the list, and then Carrie could say to the department head, yeah, you no longer have a viable list. We need to run another recruitment. We need to get another list going.
I think we can do that when they are taking names off the list, and I look at that point in time and say, if you have another open vacancy, we're not gonna have a list, so we probably need to.
We need to run a recruitment.
And it's
Yeah.
Yeah, so she would come in and say, we no longer have a viable list. We need to run a police recruitment or a
And I
fire
would say-
recruitment. And since there's really no work for us to do with regard to the testing, PST handles all that. Until the department calls for, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but as soon as the department calls for a list, so they call the first 5 names. Now that brings an internal process, and now civil service gets back involved because there'll need to be a commissioner at the oral boards. There'll need to be maybe a community member, somebody from the city, so maybe HR, and you make a panel of 3 to 5 people to interview each of the candidates. And then from that, they rank them and send the 5 names to the chief.
I don't want to keep them on each list.
Good.
I don't know what Airway Heights does. So there's a section on the agenda that we did department reports and what Airway Heights does, and we don't have to do that, but they have their fire chief and their police chief provide a report every time things happening with the department. Number of vacancies, if someone's expected to leave, if they have any disciplinary issues. So that it's just on a report that's reported to the Civil Service Commission at every meeting. A lot of times it says no report because nothing's happening. And then that's the way that happened. So Stairway Heights is having a meeting on Monday and their police has already provided their report that says, we want to do this. You know, we want to hire these 2 people. This is the process. This is how we want to run our recruitment, and then that will go to civil service. They'll bless it, and then they'll be able to.
My next question, just based on that, I'm sorry, this is all good too. So you have police and fire come in, talk about this is my issue, I would imagine it'd be disciplinary, it's just right, then it's not open session, it's open meeting, but if employees disciplinary.
We wouldn't see any names. So they'd come in as, so they'd come in and say, we have one officer who's out on paid administrative leave pending an investigation. So that's not a vacancy. That's not a vacancy in the agency, but that puts us on alert that, hey, maybe if there's discipline that's coming down the road, we may be having a hearing. So which brings us back to a question we asked earlier before you got here was, we don't know how to run a quasi judicial hearing. So we would need some training in that area.
Yeah. Be informal. I mean, rules of evidence and things like that. Are relaxed.
Okay, so yeah, they would come in and say, we have somebody on paid administrative leave, or we have somebody who's out on FMLA, which is a vacancy, and we'd like to move this guy into an acting sergeant role. Oh, okay. All right.
I guess since we don't have rules.
We don't have rules, so,
No.
okay.
Years.
Okay, so,
So we need to
Yeah.
rewrite all 7.
7 needs to be done, and I think part of 8 as well.
Okay. 8
So
is-
sessions and 8, because it's all about the examination. So depending on how, like, if you guys are gonna do continuous testing, then 8 doesn't make sense. But if we're gonna do
posted
a posted
active list
test,
for a
then-
year.
then this needs to be written in the sense that, you know, that they'll apply on PST, take the test for PST, instead of ordering the correct number of tests
And that's in 8, correct?
yeah, that's in 8. So, on what you guys decide, we'll change some of the pieces of 8.
So,
I have like on 810, it says oral interviews. So your oral board is going to consist of such persons as selected by the secretary chief examiner.
Yep.
Are you good with that? Because currently they're picking their own stuff.
yeah, that should be the chief examiner, because this is an exam. So when I was so one of the job duties that I took on as the second command at the police department was, I was the loaner guy. I went to all the other departments, all around the state. The civil service examiner would call the Cheney Police Department and say, hey, can you give me somebody for a sergeant oral board? And then I would go.
Did say that that's the preferable way to do it, to have people from other jurisdictions, so that it's a truly fair competitive process.
It shouldn't, because the chief's gonna have their own bite at the apple. He's gonna do a chief's interview with the candidate once the oral board is done. So I went and I would sit with guys from 4 other agencies, and we would interview all the applicants for sergeant. And then we would say, this is your guy. This is the one you want. And then the chief or sheriff or whoever would look at the guy and say, yeah, I don't want that guy. I'm gonna go to number 2 guy. And he would call for his interview, but we would rank them who we thought their candidate was and send him off to the chief, and then he would get his bite. So the chief's gonna get his bite at the candidate, but it's all external. We didn't have anybody from the agency on the oral board. It was all external, so.
Which I feel like is different now because most departments do have a lot of their own employees on an oral board interviewing them.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be. That shouldn't be, because then you get cronyism. You get,
But
oh,
they
yeah,
also do understand the position better than,
no.
I
Because
mean-
the role of a sergeant in any department is pretty much the same. It's the role of a sergeant. You are
so you're saying we should ask outside
Mhm.
agencies to come in and do oral boards?
Yeah.
Or,
so I would go, so like the last oral board I sat on, was for a sergeant for the sheriff's department. I was a captain at the time. And so it was me, and captains or sergeants and above from 4 other agencies. There were 5 of us on the panel. We never met anybody from the agency except the civil service examiner. And she met us at the door as we came in. She led us to the examination room. 4 of us sat down. She gave us the questions she wanted asked. So, I mean, the civil service examiner may have gone to the other sergeants within the agency to generate the questions that we were gonna to use.
Mm-hmm,
So they get their way in,
mm-hmm.
but all of the assessment is done by external forces, and then we rank those candidates who have applied.
That like a partial.
It's like a double blind.
Which makes sense. I think I need more clarification on that from maybe, because from my understanding, like there are some people in the department that are on an oral board for other departments.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm saying,
For your
that-
current department.
yes,
So like you would have Cheney officers on an oral board.
or at least one,
Yeah.
not all, but at least one, because they're hiring for their department.
But see, they've already submitted the questions that they want asked. We're asking their questions.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily based on what questions need to be asked, but at least one of their officers should be present for hiring for their department.
I disagree. And because like I say, when I was there for the sergeant's exam or the sergeants for the sheriff's department,
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't a single sheriff's department represented on the board. We were all municipal police departments.
I think now today, though, they do have one of their officers on the oral board.
I think a lot of places do.
I guess I'm not opposed to that, I guess, as long as there are external voices that are coming.
Which I agree. I think there should be external voices, but I do think internal is important as well.
I could live with that, I guess, yeah. So it'd be the civil service examiner would call to set up an oral board and then line up the assessors.
And then is that same for fire?
I think fire, they do have outside people, but they have some of their own as well. So usually we have like District 3, District 9 will come in and they'll still have like a member or 2 up there. People that does it well, but we can, like, if you want one person from each agency and then all outside, then that's.
And the board should be 3 to 5 people.
And that says here 3 to 5
Yep.
people. You can designate in here one person from each department.
And
then
it does say that.
And as long as we have an odd number.
Yep.
We need an odd number.
Which I guess it already all states that
Yeah.
from within the department and from other cities and other department heads. So I think that's already all covered in there.
I could live with that, yeah. Okay, anything else in 8 or 9 then? We need to just totally,
How it works.
I think if we do away with continual testing, I think that clarifies things so much easier.
That decide, this will either need rewritten.
Okay, so let's have for our regular meeting then, which is on Monday, let's open up the section on continuous testing. If somebody's really adamant to have them, they can bring comment to us about, so we can consider that. Yeah, let's do that.
Just have your rules on there and they can bring comment to you on any of the sections.
Okay,
So the draft is published.
I mean, I don't know how far of a draft we're gonna get done today.
because we've got 40, maybe about 45 minutes for us to be done with this next meeting.
Yeah. I don't know that you're gonna have, I mean, we can put this draft document, whatever we get done today out there and just say this is a truly draft version of stuff. You have comments on this,
Questions,
bring that.
concerns?
And then they can, even if it's sections we haven't covered yet, they can let us know what they're thinking so that when you do write.
Yeah, I like that.
that's
A great
fine.
idea.
The meeting on Monday is either gonna be super long or you might wanna have another meeting while Kathy's here next week if you're available, I don't know.
Will Kathy be here Monday?
Yes.
I picked her up from the airport today.
Great.
She just got on the plane in Houston. So. Okay, so now we're into 9. Registers and eligibility. There is currently an exam for either police, fire or police. 9-6. Except as per 9-3, 9-5, and 9-7. Any return to civil service shall be by examination only.
Going back to 8, sorry.
Go ahead.
Because Kathy's question about the currently employed to be a lateral, a trooper could retire and then lateral, that's not accurate, right? Because they have to be employed to lateral.
So that's what our rules say, to be a lateral, you have to be a current employee.
Right.
Kathy's saying, do we want it to be that, or do we want to allow someone that has retired from
Because if
the state patrol to come in and work as long as it's within their
With the
2-year
window.
window?
Because wouldn't they have to like retest and
Only if they've been, I think it's 2 years that they're.
So like, for example, I've been out of law enforcement now for almost 6 years. For me to come back into law enforcement, all I have to do is call Department of Retirement Services and say, I am unretiring.
Mhm,
That puts me back into the retirement system.
mhm.
And then I would have to go to a 2-week refresher class to reactivate my credentials. My credentials, as long as my credentials have not been revoked, my credentials will go dormant.
Mhm.
And then I need to refresh in order to bring them back.
I just don't think that'd be considered a lateral though.
Yeah,
Out of
I
our-
could lateral into another department. So we could take and loosen the rules on recently retired. And not have to have them, as long as they've got the experience that they need to meet the lateral, we could loosen the requirements. So we could take somebody who is recently retired.
Yeah, it's currently employed, so you could say employed in a law enforcement position within the last
2 years.
2 years, whatever you guys choose.
Well, I would tighten it up a little bit, 18 months. That gives, that we don't have to send them to school, so.
I was just wondering if, because I was questioning her question, if that is even an option, or is she saying that it should be an option?
She's questioning, yeah, so she's saying our rules currently say they have to be a current employee, but she's thinking, if a trooper retires like Bechtel and then wants to come in and work for us, can we take them as a lateral even though they're not currently employed because they've already served there 20 years or however long, and then.
I would say, or recently
You're saying 18
removed
months.
from like 18 months within that 18-month window. That way we don't have to send them back to refresher school. As long as their credentials are still valid, we can just plug them back in and consider them laterals.
What we have had laterals that basically went through the academy at another agency and then washed out during the FTO, and then we hire them as a lateral, or they haven't even been out on their own yet. So that's, in my head, that's not really a lateral.
Well,
No.
they have
But
to
they
be,
should
they have to be
complete
regular,
FTO.
they have to be regular employees or they come in as.
Oh,
Which I think is good.
yeah.
They have to meet our rules of being a regular employee, which is out of FTO, on their own, 2 years experience. And then, because your FTO, you can't take anybody who comes in as a wash from probation through their FTO or whatever, comes in as an entry level.
Yes, I agree. Okay, sorry, back to 9.
Okay, so now we're into 9.
I don't know on 9.06 what that means either. I don't.
Depth is provided in any return to civil service shall be by examination only. I don't know how that would apply, because for example, let's say maybe, well, of course, they've got the police departments, everybody's in their civil service.
Turn after retirement, anybody else coming back has to take the test and go through the process again. That's kind of how I read that. But I don't know, I think maybe Kathy's questioning, like maybe we don't do a test, some kind of test
Sure,
for
there's
that.
an exam for either police or fire.
We could also set this aside and let Kathy explain to us on Monday what she needs.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I'm good.
9.
That will do all of Kathy's questions. 1925 and 1710. Let's look at 17. Demotion. The appeal, the commission shall issue a decision including findings of fact, conclusions of law. Nineteen
1710, is that for us to determine how many days?
So 1925 says within 10 business days. And 1710 just leaves it open for within a number of days. I'm good within 10 business days. And just set them for both.
Time that has.
Because Airway has 14. I don't know if that's just the number they chose or.
Because some sections say 10 business days, some say, I don't know if they're saying 10 business days and then 14 days, which is the same thing. And then some sections say 10 days. So I guess question is, yeah. What is required?
Did you have any other notes you wanted to discuss or?
No, I got to 21 as well. I haven't continued. But no, answer your question.
Didn't have, it had some typos and stuff I noted, but
And I'm glad we got a lot of those fixed. They were driving me
And
bonkers.
even some of the formatting is still off. Try to fix all of that.
It already looks so much better though. Thank you.
Yeah, it was
Making my head hurt.
on too.
okay, so from here, you can publish these as draft.
All the things that we had questions of, so I don't actually know if I have here. 8.37, examination papers of each eligible shall be kept on file in the office of the commission.
Which is basically yours. Which is the office of the chief examiner. Yeah. So wherever you store test records.
Yeah, that'd be my office, and then, okay, I need to update 8.41 because it says the same math. Well, 8.05.02, and now that's not a 8.05, there is no 8.05.02, so.
Yeah,
I have
that's
to
gonna-
figure out what that
Was.
is. For.
Limit the number. Further to the test.
Yeah, and then I just had questions on like the application fee and that kind of stuff, but that's all gonna be, and then we decide.
Well, and that's kind of set now by this,
Yeah, so if we do testing that kind of fee.
as determined by any contracted third party.
So there wouldn't be a fee,
There's a fee.
but it would be for PST, not for us.
And I don't know if Kathy's asking, should we have a fee for all? I don't know, like, I'm not sure what.
I don't think we need to set a fee, and I don't think we can. I don't think we can set a fee.
Something application
PSTs.
fees will be based on,
Based upon third party
Like
testing
fee.
processes.
thing.
Right. Cause I don't think we want to set hard and fast it's going to be PST, because what if PST folds? So it's for a third party testing agency.
Be, 1709 talks about airway hygiene code, whatever, and I'll
Mhm.
look up and see what, I don't think Cheney actually has an ordinance that talks about unsatisfactory employment records, so if that's I might just take off as addressed in, because I don't think we have any here that addresses that.
I don't think we have any ordinances that deal with that.
Yeah. Right, and then that section we just. And then I will, I think we're good, full-time firefighter, lieutenant, captain. And then police officer, lieutenant, detective, sergeant, corporal, police officer. This talks about civil service secretary and chief examiner being part of civil service.
Which section?
Well, that was because of the open competitive testing thing for your position. And I am opposed to that, but we're gonna have a conversation when Kathy gets here.
We can determine, write that down. Okay. So I'll just highlight this. I think those were some questions I. And then. As I said, probably not have a lot of work on this document today, post the agenda to it today, so this will probably, I'll email it to you guys, go out the way it is, but I do intend to clean up the parts that say appointing authority and change that to department head where it's appropriate.
Mhm.
That was probably considered.
And then, you said you were gonna post it so that, is it fire and police can bring questions or comments, or just the public in general?
Just the public in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be an open meeting, you guys can ask, if it's. Obviously, police and fire will have some opinions on things that
Right.
they'll wanna come and let you know, but if anybody.
Okay.
anybody-
Now, just because we get public comment doesn't mean we need to take action on that comment at that time. So it's kind of as an information.
Yeah, so if you have the option, you have your section of your agenda that takes public comment. You can allow them to give all of their comment at that time.
Or-
Or you can say, okay, we're gonna talk about the civil service schools right now, and we will take public comment.
At the
during
end.
This portion, like after we've discussed it. If you would prefer to have all of the comments beforehand, so that when you start discussing it,
That's not a bad
that's
idea.
fine too, so.
So that's not a bad idea, because then we can kind of come across them as we're going over them, rather than at the end and having to jump back to sections. Address it as we're on that section. Might speed things up too.
You guys determine how you wanna do it, but you have to take public comment, you can determine when.
I think as we are going through, we say here, everybody's had a opportunity to look at the rules. We're gonna begin going section by section and.
Maybe as they come up, is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
that way they can say, well, on this, we want continuous testing because of da. And then we can have our conversation about what we
I
want to
think
do
that's
with
a good
that.
idea, rather than at the end, then we have to flip back and go back to whatever they want to address, just have them address it as we're on it.
As we're on section, any public comment on section 1 with regard
I
to,
think that's a good idea.
or definitions? Okay, next we're going into
Right.
testing. Let's do it that way.
Just. Just set out your. Rules.
Anything else we need to add to the agenda that we've started?
What I have. Number on Monday. We will. Civil service rules, your public safety testing process, and then your vacancies. And the way you wanted to do that is talk about, wanted to talk about PST first, and then the rules, and then the vacancies.
Well, let's move PST into the section where
Yeah.
we're talking about section 7 and 8, continuous testing and.
Like, want to talk about, and then then not have, you can talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
it during-
let's do that. Yeah.
Okay. I'll delete that. So we'll do rules first, and then you can talk about all of the different stuff, and then the vacancies. The way I'll do the agenda is. I'm not sure that you're aware, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Kathy has already actually signed up to get notified when I publish the agenda. You guys can do that from personal if you want. Obviously, when we get your laptops, you'll wanna do it from your city email when you get it. But you can go into the website, ask them to notify you when the agenda is published. You can say just civil service, and then once I publish it, you can go in and the agenda item itself show. It will have like this on there, so
Oh,
when it
okay.
goes out to the public and anybody, then it will have like the copy of the rules in there for people to see. Under vacancies, do you want me to put the information that the police guild sent you on this is what we want, or do you wanna just discuss that stuff?
That was the email you sent
Email
of,
from Cheyenne,
yeah.
yeah, that said, we wanna do this, this is the process we wanna use.
could you print that out for that meeting by chance?
Yeah.
Okay, that way we have it in front of us.
I'm lost. We'll say all that again. Where are we at in this conversation?
On your agenda.
Yeah.
Thank you. An agenda item called vacancy.
Right.
Do you want it just to be an item called vacancies and then you guys can just discuss whatever you want? Or I have the ability to take that email that Cheyenne sent and said, we want to do this, and I can put that into the vacancy section and make it part of the agenda, so everybody in the world can see what her email is and what they want to do.
I don't like that.
Okay.
And the reason I don't like that is because I want to totally change that process. I do not like the process that they're using because it's completely in-house.
Yes, it is.
And I'm opposed. I think that as they are looking to hire, even if they're lateral people, they should have outside voices come in because they have somebody come in from an outside agency, and another agency's there and go, yeah, you don't want that guy. He's a problem. He's a problem person. Because law enforcement is still a pretty tight knit group, and you don't want to have the bad apple that moves department to department to
Right.
department. You want somebody to go, yeah, not that.
But maybe we put it, like, I don't know how this would work, not post it, but put in there a part of vacancies going over their hiring process? And have it open for discussion, or do you not want to do that?
Well,
because it's
we're gonna be talking pretty extensively. I anticipate that most of our conversation and public comment is gonna be on section 7, section 8. As we discuss continuous hire or continuous testing and the PST and that kind of thing. So we're gonna have an in-depth conversation about oral boards and everything in that as we write the rule for oral boards. And then it'll come to vacancies and we'll say, using the new rules, the police department can move forward with hiring. And they will need to coordinate with the chief examiner to set up a oral
Okay,
boards
so I will just leave the vacancies to say vacancies with nothing.
vacancy, yeah.
And then could you just print that email so you have it for us? Okay, that way we can
Yeah.
go over what needs to be changed.
Anything else we need to discuss then today? We good?
I need to go. I'll report to out and then I'll, where I'm at and modifying their rules and most of that, I think might be.
Is there anything we need to do by Monday?
If you haven't reviewed all of the rules, look over them some more. I'll send out the rules that we just worked on. That will be on, and they will also be on the agenda for that, but it's also, to see the kind of.
Okay,
Thank you guys.
so we are adjourned at 10:25. I get to use the gap. Woo-hoo.